everybody, welcome to episode 3 of our Let's Play series, the INNSMOUTH case. This game is so interesting. In this session, we continue to make choices and deal with the consequences of our actions. Are we able to find the girl? Not yet. In fact, I don't even think we're close yet. But we better let's play. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. It's episode 3 of the INNSMOUTH case, a point and click choose your own adventure-esque game dealing with a modern Cthulhu tale. Let's go ahead and continue. We ended last episode dying by a bag of rabid ferrets. Go check that episode out over on the YouTube channel by clicking that link right there. You wander the streets. The dark cloud spreads out from the sea like claws that ominously reach for the town. Reach for you. The sun is set, the temperature is dropping fast, the air too gets cooler, and a rough wind whips through the alley. You're lost. You have no idea how to get out of this godforsaken town, and if that weren't bad enough, you also underestimated the September weather on the coast. And the real cold temperatures is still yet to come. Scattered raindrops, but do not bode well. You aimlessly wander the streets. The narrow alleys are a labyrinth of simple wooden fishermen's huts. At least you're not completely on your own. Look at that, even at this late hour, there are groups of people patrolling with torches and pitchforks and knives and nets. We're gonna stay in the shadows. It's not necessarily the knives and nets that make you worried, it's the limp that many of the villagers have that makes you nervous. People don't walk, they waddle, stagger, stumble, and shuffle with their upper bodies lifted like malicious trolls in a fantasy film. You found refuge behind some old barrels in a narrow side street. You'd love to simply huddle up there, but in the middle of the alley, you're without protection against the rain. Pitchforked Bob still hasn't noticed you. You wonder what to do next. We're just gonna keep moving through town. One alley follows the next. The ground is muddy with knee-deep puddles. The paths are lined with run-down huts consisting of nothing but a few bricks and corrugated iron roofs piled on top of each other. You must be in the old town, an area that is definitely not being advertised in the travel brochures. The very moment your cerebellum wants to complain about being bored, you run straight into the arms of a patrol. Ah, damn it. Although they haven't noticed you yet. Undecided. The group is gathered in the middle of the road and seems to be discussing their options. Nevertheless, they're alert and keep checking their surroundings. You reckon that they will discover you soon because here in your position, you're a sitting duck. Oh, it goes pretty well. I've killed my character twice, once in the streams and once by rabid ferret. Heart is pounding. Cover your face, don't do anything else. We're gonna cover our face. Following your intuition, you grab a piece of cloth dangling from a barrel. The torn cloth stinks of rotten fruit, which is a welcome change from the rotten fish that you've been smelling the whole evening. You walk up to the small group of townsfolk. There, screams the front of the man, an old fisherman with a white bushy beard. He waves his torch at your direction. His friends limp towards you. Their rags and rain jackets and rags flap awkwardly against their body. Iya, Cthulhu Fatagan. Considering they're a limping horde of deformed lunatics, they manage to surround you quickly. Glad with the torches dancing in the rain makes the already scary faces look even more bizarre. Nervously, they lick their bulging lips while they stick out their torches, knives and pitchforks to keep you in check. You wonder if the people of INNSMOUTH suffer from radiation poisoning. It would explain so much. Hey, you there! The leader of the mob spits at you. Oh, damn it. There you were, hoping to be able to sneak past the creepy group, but you somehow must have caught their attention. What are you doing here all alone? I need to spell check probably every alert. I want to leave town, you honestly say. Leave town? Tonight? A wolfish grin spreads over the man's face. With his free arm, he makes a few hasty gestures, and suddenly, you feel the grip of strong hands clasping around your arms. The old fisherman tears the rag off your face and emits a throaty laugh, a bit unsure. His henchman joins the laughter. He ignores them because his attention is focused on you alone. You stare into some strangely deformed, elongated pupils. We're gonna have fun tonight. He looks at someone next to you. Before you consider what the hell is happening, someone hits you on the back of the head. You lose consciousness. Town square. Freezing cold. Voices whispering, arguing. Raindrops that roll off your forehead. A pungent smell of fish that you have almost gotten used to. Damn it. Your cheek is pressed against something cool. Later, man. After the first moment of disorientation, you realize you're lying somewhere out in the street. You open your eyes. This situation is not new to you. On several drunken nights in Boston, you've ended up near a trash can on a dodgy side street. This is perfectly normal. You groan as you raise your head and immediately regret moving. All you can feel is the back of your head is pain. You have no doubt you were knocked out. You try to touch the back of your head but fail. You seem to be tied up. Okay. This is definitely not normal. At least now you recognize where you are. It's INNSMOUTH Town Hall Square. At least 50 villagers have gathered around you. They have huddled together in small groups and are deep in conversation. Relaxed, they rest on their pitchforks and have thrown their fishing nets loosely over their shoulders. Now and then, they grin at you. We're gonna cry for help. You try to appeal to anyone standing around you. Help me. Bloated people of INNSMOUTH, please save me. You shout to a group of stocky men and women in raincoats. Your words fall on deaf ears. Why on earth are they ignoring you? A worn down boot suddenly appears in your field of vision. Awake already? A voice croaks from above. With great effort, you manage to look up to see who dares to interrupt your fit of self-pity. It's the leader of the group, Abraham, who looks down at you triumphantly. From where you are, you can see all the small tumors that are sprouting from his chin. Yuck, you say involuntarily. If you offended him, he doesn't know. He gives you a dirty grin. I hope you enjoyed your little stay in town tonight, landlubber. It's difficult to think clearly. It's been a strange day. That much is clear. You're opting for a timeless, I hate all of you. Then you narrow your eyes slightly. The old man blinks back suspiciously. Damn, the man whistles if impressed. You are a tough guy. I'll give you that. I wonder how long that will last when you're on fire. Fire? Before you can ask for more detailed explanation, you're grabbed by the arms. Some fishermen have silently approached you without you noticing. They jerk you up into the air and carry you over to the square. After just a few yards, they slow down. The ground they're walking on seems less solid. You're standing by a stake. Two men in rags and gross bulges on their cheeks undo your handcuffs and then tie your arms around the central pole. The remaining villagers have interrupted their chatter and are becoming closer. What's this all about? The situation is so bizarre. Is this really a stake? Do these people really want to set you on fire in a public space? A bunch of ragged figures with deformed bodies is gathered in the town square. They have quashed noses, gills, and psoriasis that covers their whole face. You are certain that you have not yet met any of these horror figures today, or did you? Maybe they simply look more harmless in direct sunlight. Finally, about time, someone shouts annoyed and drowns out all the other conversations taking place in the town square. Of course it wasn't Cat. Looks like someone finally managed to light a torch. Calmly, the men march towards you, and in awe, the villagers make way for them. Not everyone in INNSMOUTH can light a fire. One of the men remain with the other spectators, and the torchbearer continues alone until he stands before you and the stake. He turns back to you and begins to speak to the eclectic audience. Brothers and sisters. Yes, Abraham, several people respond, which says a lot about the INNSMOUTH gene pool. Quiet, he growls immediately. I mean everyone present. Satisfied, he solemnly spreads his arms. You can now see that the hand with which he holds the torch is a single flap of skin wrapped around the log. The hour approaches, and before you stands our tribute to Dagon. We share the sacrifice and the blessing, for we are faithful children of the... He falls silent. A dozen tourists walk out of the next alley along. The villagers look surprised and exchange baffled looks. Some look to Abraham for help. Embarrassed, Abraham drops the torch. Cry for help. Help! Hey, help me! Please, rescue me, you blurt out. You're in some deeply hurt looks from the villagers, but their feelings are not as high up as your priority list as, say, surviving this night. The tourists look over you with interest. The first few break away from the group and come closer. A young blonde man takes selfies with you and himself at the stake. Hey, you scream at him. Inform the FBI. That's right, the FBI is the right institution to take part in this incestuous, fish-infested town. The man frowns, he looks at you and seems confused. Like a magnet, he draws back to the screen of his mobile phone. What? He asks, lost in thought as he types something on the device. This is not going well. A tourist stands in the amazement before the stake. Is this one of those medieval games like they do in Salem? They like to do that over in Europe too, with knights and stuff like that. Abraham rolls his eyes. Sure. He replies, but that turns out to be the wrong move. The tourist waves over his companions. The group of tourists assembles in front of the stake, which means that the locals can no longer see you. Some of the rough-looking men in fish coats walk up to Abraham and speak to him. They're obviously getting nervous. Meanwhile, a few of the tourists break away. They take pictures of you stake. We have to overpower them somehow. This is the first thing you can make out. A thin man in a striped wool sweater and tattered trousers speaks to Abraham. The man nervously rubs his arms and his bulging eyes darting back and forth between his friends and the group of tourists. I mean, all these pictures, what if any of this gets out? ASMR of the keyboard is gasping. Whatever, they just think it's all an act and overpower them. Just look at us. They'd knock us out, Abraham hissed angrily. If you compare the illustrious mix of healthy and well-fed tourists with the hunchbacked, scarred people from INNSMOUTH, there's no doubt who would win in a fight. They've bound me to the stake to burn me alive, you explain with as much patience as you can muster in light of the circumstances. These people here are all clearly insane. Against your hopes, the group of tourists turns out to be of no help whatsoever. With polite interest, they listen to your explanation, which I consider to be part of the reenactment of the witch trials. You can feel a massive headache coming on. Like in Salem, squeaks an elderly lady with more enthusiasm than appropriate for this whole situation. Any last words? Abraham asks. 9/11 was an inside job. I love pineapple on my pizza and I regret nothing. Some villagers give you a round of applause, but the majority of the audience stands there awkward. Abraham just shrugs. Then he puts the burning torch on the wood. With a crackling sound, the fire consumes the first dry branches. The sight of the spreading flames makes you panic. Suddenly you realize this whole thing serves the single purpose of setting you on fire. This has been evident for some time, but only now has it really clicked. God, you guys. It doesn't take long for the whole pile of wood to be on fire. The heat is unbearable. Your skin hurts so much you almost lose consciousness, but no such luck. Only when all your clothes are singed and the blisters form on your cheeks does your circulatory system finally collapse. At the stake, you're burned alive. Never again, cold case. God damn it, you guys. All right, load chapter. Boston, the 22nd. Your figures generally struck the banknotes inside your coat as you leave your apartment at dawn. Only over your dead body will you waste this money for actual expenses. You've never had good experiences with public transportation, so you've decided to give hitchhiking a go. At this time, you usually still roll around in bed restlessly for another 2 hours or so. You are at the park and ride area, which is located at the intersection of two country roads. This is where students and low-income earners meet to share the fuel costs of a long trip, and you often see nomads and vagabonds trying to catch a free ride. You're confident you won't be put in the last category, at least not today. Low clouds hang over the Boston sky. The air is gray, cold, and wet. And the progress of your mission depends on the charity and compassion of strangers. Your mood is miserable. You've hardly arrived, you already start to regret your decision a little. Depending on the compassion and generosity of others, what were you thinking? As a private detective, you should know better. This is definitely going to work. You confidently say out loud. People close to you give you some worried looks. A little girl whose family just parked their fully loaded van points wordlessly at you. Your mother takes note of you and turns up her mouth. Look, Mom, a poor person. Littlewood finally delivers her verdict cheerfully. Poor. That's really an exaggeration of the facts. And on top of that, rude. We're just going to ignore her. Kids do not understand the complexity of adult life. The sacrifices one has to make for an exciting life as a not very successful private detective. Soon the child loses interest in you and runs back to her parents. It's time to consider the options. Three other hitchhikers have positioned themselves at the exit of the parking lot. A student couple and a punk with a towel around his shoulders. Every now and then a car stops and the driver winds down the windshield to have a few words with them. You position yourself a little further from them. It will harm your chances as a hitchhiker if you stand too close to those people and you say to yourself while you keep your distance. The other people will just occupy the seats that you're after. Time to get to business. You stand at the edge of the exit of the parking lot and throw yourself into a provocative pose. One leg sticking out of the trench coat, angled suggestively, and your hand near your hip. That's how you present yourself to passing cars. Fiery but not easy, an uncut diamond on the roadside. The young couple looks over at you, their eyes widen. Admiration, you're quite certain, and a pinch of envy. You challenge her glances and move your leg back and forth. She slowly raises her hands and covers her mouth. He bites his lower lip softly. A horn pulls you back into reality. An old VW bus stops next to you. The car is sprinkled with peace symbols. Driver winds down his window and green smoke escapes the car. Hot moves! Wow! The driver laughs in a rough voice. You stare at the face of the modern hipster. Or is he a surfer bro after all? Hard to say. A complicated and at the same time messy man bun paired with a tasteless hippie shirt. Hesitantly examine your first option since forever. I'm Lonnie. The man grins at you warmly. You wonder if he can actually see you through the wild curls that still cover his face. Are you going to INNSMOUTH? Ha! Lonnie claps his hand on the side of his bus. Sure thing. My surfboard and me, we can't wait. Lonnie leans further out the window and clouds of smoke rising behind him suggest his seat was on fire. What's the deal, man? In or out? We're gonna join Lonnie. No. I'm in, and Lonnie grins. Grin becomes even wider. Whoa. Let's get going. You sprint towards the bus. Lonnie has already opened the passenger door. A few cans of orange lemonade clatter on the asphalt and drop out in front of your shoes. You pause for a moment and take a look at the trash inside the minibus. It takes some serious commitment to mess up your car like that. This guy was a real expert at being messy. I don't wear a man bun by choice. You wonder where to put your briefcase. Between the crumpled slips of paper under the passenger seat, next to the rotten tomato plant in the storage room, on top of the unwashed clothes behind the seat. You stow away the bag and try to wipe off the transparent film of slime that now sticks to your hand. Lonnie makes a train driver arm gesture. Choo choo, let's roll. He pushes down the gas pedal and the bus starts to move. Nervously, you watch Lonnie play around with the controls knob of his old car radio while you're approaching a junction. But maybe intentionally, or maybe just by chance, the traffic light turns green just in time. The bus drives on a steady pace, and the cars in front of you start moving just in time so Lonnie doesn't run into anyone. Cozy. Just gonna enjoy the ride. You sit back and relax. The turbine engine of a crashing airplane could fall on you at any moment, or you could choke on a piece of vegan chocolate. Life is too short to worry constantly. Lonnie has finally found a station with a 90s punk band that he likes. Time flies. Despite various distractions, some of which had to do with his therapy, Lonnie manages to not cause an accident and somehow seamlessly weave into the other traffic. The air in the car is stuffy and makes you sleepy. For the first time in many months, you feel relaxed and you're sure that everything is going to be fine. If you give your best on this job, there's an actual chance you'll find the girl, bag the money, and emerge as the hero of the story. So what brings you to INNSMOUTH, young man? Holiday? Lonnie tears you out of your dreams. I'm investigating a private matter. I'm supposed to find a little girl who ran away from home. At first, you're not quite sure whether you should be further distracting Lonnie from traffic, but you have to admit, so far he's been exemplary with the traffic rules. You fish a little Polaroid photo out of your coat pocket and hold it up to him. Lonnie whistles. Wow, that little one really has huge eyes. It'd be hard to find. Is that like a disease or something? You knew it. You look more closely at the picture. The child does look strange. But Dahlia hadn't mentioned any illness. I don't think so. You mumble evasively. Box, behave. You write down your phone number on one of the countless pieces of paper lying around in the car. Lonnie promises to call if he finds Tabitha, but you assume he'll forget her as soon as he catches the sea breeze. But who knows? The more eyes, the better. Satisfied, you pocket the Polaroid photo. Where are you going to take the conversation next? We're going to go, where are you staying? Lonnie makes a gesture to the back of the van. What do you think? You didn't even need to look back there yourself. You remember the chaos very well. Park on the beach, surf all day, have a few drinks in the evening, then off for a snooze in the back of the van. It couldn't be cheaper. Indeed. You let yourself sink in a little deeper into the upholstery. However, slowly, the bus chugs through the countryside. Not the fastest, but definitely a cost-effective way to move around. And the best thing, Lonnie hasn't mentioned anything about sharing the gas money yet. You've hit the jackpot. With these blissful thoughts, you drift into a light sleep. At some point, the vehicle leaves the country road and turns near a wooden sign. It says INNSMOUTH, written in big red letters, which are slowly peeling off the sign. Your journey continues down along a narrow and bumpy country lane with lots of potholes. In the distance, you can already make out a few houses. Seagulls are circling the roofs of the far side of the coastal town. You approach another wooden sign with the words "Cars on Diversion" scrawled on it messily. An arrow points to the right. The sign points away from the route that leads directly into INNSMOUTH, presumably a diversion. You are sure that the other board directly underneath with the words "Other Routes" actually points to the direction leading directly to the town. Odd. Lonnie's already indicated he wants to turn into the diversion lane. Well, he's the driver. We're not going to get involved. No way, Jose. I'm here to chill. See front. Here we come. Lonnie switches off the turret scene and continues to follow the direction into town. How strange. Your van drives past a huge scrapyard parking lot, all the way out here in the middle of nowhere, so far out from the actual town. You pass another wooden sign and flaked off letters that tells you that this is supposed to be the INNSMOUTH Park and Rest area. A lot of the cars give off the impression that they've been parked here for a long time, potentially years. Fine sand covers the bonnets and windscreens. Fallen leaves gather next to deflated tires. Some of the cars have started going rusty. The minivan continues along the road, passing the first small old houses. The change from the country road to an uneven brick road only minimally improved the journey, except Lonnie, who seemed delighted. Dude, he shouts enthusiastically. He puts a heavy metal CD into the CD player and turns the volume all the way up to 11. He starts headbanging, of course. The CD player is struggling mightily with the brick road and interrupts the music every other beat to buffer for at least 5 seconds. Lonnie does not even seem fazed by this. You're pretty sure this is what hell must be like. The endless fields and meadows have turned into much narrower alleys. A one-way street, do you think? You almost wish for an oncoming car. Anything that would force the car to stop so the CD player would have a chance to play its music for just a little bit longer. But no luck, no oncoming traffic in sight anywhere else. As you look around, your first impression is one of surprisingly idle. INNSMOUTH is an old town, even by New England standards. Many houses seem to be from the 19th century, but are in good condition, or at least received a new lick of paint not too long ago. It's just that the roads are now worryingly narrow. Your side mirrors have been scraping along the brick walls, and you think it's really impressive that Lonnie's bus isn't getting seriously damaged by any of this. Whoa, how close was that? He says after scraping around the corner. Man, I've got a real bus surfing skills. Lonnie's enthusiastic voice repeatedly cuts through the white noise that has settled in your brain. Together, you and your brain decide to jump out of the driving car at the next best opportunity. With quick steps, you make your way into the town center in the direction of the coastline. Not long ago, the sun was bright in the sky, but already the first wafts of mist are creeping into the streets. The air feels heavier and the sun can no longer penetrate the fog. Time to think about where you want to go. You slow down. Lean your briefcase against the wall. You start pacing along a quiet alleyway. You've got an important choice to make now. The city center is in the north. Even from afar, you can see the outlines of the old and ornately decorated buildings of the main town square. Here you should find the police station, the main shopping street, and of course, the town hall. As a coastal town, INNSMOUTH also has a harbor. During your research, you found out that this is a busy area which includes a dreamy beach. You expect there to be mostly tourists. The old town, according to your research, has only one. The only hotel in town, the Gilman Hotel. You can decide to check in and freshen up. Just when you want to set off, your heart leaps your throat. Where a moment ago your briefcase was leaning against the wall, it now is nothing. Disturbed, you walk up and down the street, peer into the alleyways and over a fence but there's no one in sight. Did you actually bring your briefcase and put it down here, or are you going mad? At least you can take comfort in the idea that the thief will be surprised by what he will find when he opens the briefcase. Quite a lot of pieces of paper with phone numbers. You think you can cope with the loss of your briefcase? Luckily, you didn't take anything actually useful or valuable on your trip. You check the alley at one last time. Apart from a pair of moving curtains in one of the windows, you don't notice any clues that could lead to the culprit. It doesn't matter now. What's important is you keep moving. There's only a few hours left until the sun goes down. The first thing you visit is, we're going to go check out the harbor in the east this time. INNSMOUTH Harbor is signposted much better than the local hospital. You wonder if a hospital is even needed here. It's a half-hour walk. A mile-long carpet of cobblestone is now ahead of you. The traffic in Boston is much more hectic, but at least they have heard of asphalt before. As you keep walking, there are fewer and fewer residential buildings along your path. In their stead, there are now warehouses that must be fish markets due to the smell. You can also hear the occasional metallic clanking from nearby workshops. People in gray raincoats are walking toward you. They're probably fishermen who have some errands to run. Now and again, in that split second when you pass one another, you catch a glimpse of the faces hidden under the hoods. Puffy eyes that look at you suspiciously, although there are a few clouds in the sky, there's no chance of rain as far as you can tell. Why are they all wrapped up like that? Wonder if they have a sixth sense for approaching storms? The sound of the rhythmic blows of a hammer nearby tears you away from these thoughts. It would be interesting to watch the work in a shipyard, but little Tabitha is unlikely to be here to play. From a distance, you can already see the masts of the boats, which rise up into the sky like a row of spears. You walk along a small street at the quay with the harbor basin just behind it. The view of the harbor is splendid. Boats of all shapes and sizes are coming and going, nets are being emptied out, and fish seem to be endlessly splashing into huge freezing boxes. Local trades are being sealed with handshakes, and at the end of a wide headland, a huge lighthouse watches majestically over the bay. The ideal postcard motif if it weren't for the people. You only know fishermen from the movies, and you have to admit that you have a certain prejudice. These include: they have weather-beaten skin, and the captains are always have well-groomed beards. They're either strong, silent types or hard-drinking lads who sing filthy sea shanties. But these creatures in front of you are neither majestic nor leery. They move around more like tragic hunchbacks you'd expect to see in French cathedrals. A few yards to the right, there's a fork in the road, and the road sign pointing further north. An inscription reads, INNSMOUTH Paradise Beach. In the far distance, you can see a building that looks like a church. Hang on, a church? On the coast? How eccentric. Do we go to the beach, the church, or the lighthouse? I think we're going to go to the church. The church is located on a hill overlooking the harbor. You immediately drawn towards it. You stroll along the docks towards the cliffs. You take in the pleasant sea breeze and the hustle and bustle on the ships. Your original mission pops into your mind. This place is so relaxing, it's just too easy to forget about the little girl. Out of the corner of your eye, you can see 3 fishermen whose boat just moored. They're not working, in fact, they're not doing anything. They're just standing there, staring at you. That feeling of serenity is slowly overtaken by anxiety. Speed up our pace. You speed up your pace, all of a sudden it feels as if you've got a big target on your trench coat. It's difficult, but you manage to swallow the provocative comments they would have liked to hurl at the fishermen. Instead, try to act more discreetly. After a few yards, you turn around again. They're all gone. The crew must have disappeared below deck in their little boat. A strange bunch. Suddenly, it's utterly plausible that people in this town can disappear just like that. You're a little closer to the church building now, and you're relieved to find that there is a few dozen people outside its gates. They're not the usual creepy INNSMOUTH kind. The group are gesticulating and discussing something in a very animated manner. Normal people. As you reach the courtyard, you're able to assess the situation a little better. 2 groups with the same number of people are confronting one another, surrounded by a few more reserved onlookers. 2 shouty people, who appear to be the representatives of the 2 camps, are facing each other. A bronze plaque is displayed above the gate at the entrance. Engraved on it, Esoteric Order of Dagon. Let's join in the crowd and get some tea. Whoa. You walk up to the crowd, you peek over the shoulders of the stocky figures in front of you who are listening to the 2 men and occasionally nod or mumble words of dissent. One of the 2 squabblers, a weather-beaten man with bulging eyes, is just about to launch in the finale of his speech. And therefore, Dagon is the one God who created us in his own image, and his only son, Obed Marsh, who came to earth as a man, and he is Dagon himself because we... No. His counterpart interrupts. He is a bearded professor type, dressed in gray wool sweater, who highlights every word with an aggressive jab of the pipe in his hand. Dagon is the creator of the world, but he is above us. He has no children or nothing even close to this kind of thing. Even saying that is heresy. It's in the writings of his prophet, Abdul al-Hazred. With a scrunched up face and in a high-pitched voice, the sailor repeats these last words. Abdul al-Hazred. What a load of horse dung. The crowd is now on fire. Their fists are raised and there are crackling tensions amongst the onlookers. Oh yeah, and the whole Obed Marsh was born by Immaculate Conception when Marianne Marsh was bathing in the sea story? What do you call that? She was blessed there to receive Obed, and you know it, the bug-eyed sailor shouts with no longer trying to contain his anger. You know it, he adds hissing silently. The ongoing murmur of the crowd is occasionally drowned out by the heavy breathing of the 2 main speakers. The crowd is up in arms. We're gonna enter the church. Why not? You're already here after all. And almost immediately, 2 grumpy-looking men clothed like fishermen stand in your way, preventing you from entering the church. They seem to have a competition going to see who can give you the most sinister look. What now? I need to go in there or leave the churchyard. I need to go in there. You murmur a little intimidated. I don't think so. Scoffs younger of the 2. Yeah, I don't think you need to go in there. This is only for the children of Dagon, the older one grunts. Look at you with a slight glint in their eyes. All right, we're gonna leave the churchyard. You decide to leave. Other than religion fanatics, the Church of Dagon does not seem to have much else to offer. And there are enough of those in Boston. You walk down the sloping path from which you have come until you are back at the quasi wall of the harbor. Let's go to the lighthouse. Initially, it looked like as if the lighthouse was quite close, but as you keep walking, you realize the trip is much longer than you expected. All right, and with that, that's going to end this episode so we can roll into break. Hey everybody, ToddFather6 here signing off. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you want to see more, click the videos that are listed or hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications in order to be notified when I've got more posted. Until then, as always, be good, be kind, be safe. See you next time.